I can say that I can relate. I'm gonna do the same thing you did. I can say on one end that I can relate fully to what you're saying, and then there's another end of the spectrum where it's like, well, but yours seems to be more. I have to. There's no way I could tell that because there's no way to really compare the two, and not that you ought to. It's just,
You're saying it seems like there's more confirmation or authority on my end?
well, I wasn't saying that, but I guess that's part of it. I think that's definitely a which is
Hey,
probably
Jewel.
easily explained by the difference in our approach. Yours,
Yeah.
you
I
were
mean,
more, you were driving towards it for 3 years. I mean, you spent time on this. You
it's,
you had a
yeah.
different experience than I did. But I think the experience is part of it, right? Where you fell.
Yeah. The thing is too, it's not something that you like, it's a continual realization for your entire life, but it's experience.
The experience is not continual though. It's
Yeah, but
right.
the experience is temporary, so no one experience is going to bring you fulfillment in that sense, if that makes sense, because it's temporal.
Right.
So, but an experience can be a beautiful mirror.
Yeah.
So, so I'm saying, an experience can be an experience, the mystical experience or whatever, the experience that people talk about would be the experience that is a mirror to your true self, to your true being, your being, right?
Right.
So that's a beautiful experience, but in the while, it's still temporary.
It's an important one too if you're uh, unsure of who you are. Having some, and I know you may have a contrary view of this, and maybe we might be speaking something entirely different. But when I'm in these states of mind, what the state of mind that you were making me think of anyway, and I'm really alone in my head, and yet outside of my head and the world and you know, uh, I feel like I get a chance to know who I am deep down inside in a way that I, you know, didn't even know existed, and then connects with everything else. And then when you have that consistently, if you have another experience like later on in life and it's consistently the same thing, it's like a good, it's a good grounding.
Hmm.
I don't
It,
know. I know I didn't explain that well, but
no, I get you. The more I think that the more that you kind of
obviously,
like realize it and you marinate in it, then you experience yourself beyond all your personhood, your relationships, everything that changes in your stream of consciousness, you are able to disidentify from that. And not
it's
that,
nuts.
and you marinate in that and and then you go through life. The more that you experience life in that, so you're still in that, but you're still experiencing all movement, but you're aware of both now. Like you're aware of the whole thing. You're not just aware of movement, you're aware of the stillness that all movement is happening inside of. So movement no longer, a wave no longer takes you with it. A wave happens, and how can a wave, it then becomes how can a wave of consciousness, any situation, any thought, any emotion, become something that takes you away with it when the wave is happening inside of you? Like, do you see the difference in perspective? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it's the way Alan Watts used to describe. Um, fuck, I've heard that before. that type of imagery. It's interesting. It's
It's because
but but
truth
I
is the same experience for all beings, and the only way to describe it is to use the symbols and words and images that we see. So water and things like that become natural symbols to you to try and explain it, because you can't help but see the outer orchestration of creation reflecting yourself everywhere. Like, you can't help but see all these things as just being mirrors and parts of you, like different, and to describe, and you can just describe things through them.
the permanence in which it seems as though you've adopted this kind of uh, vantage point or lens of perception or experience. It's very interesting because, well, I wonder how much it has a difference with. I'm relating a lot of what you're saying to mushroom experiences of mine, which I have to understand is much different, probably much different than the one experience that you talked about as saying. Well, in fact, I think you said it was the most crazy experience I had. I didn't do any drugs,
Mm-hmm.
but um, man, what was I gonna say? Shit.
It's not
Somebody
it's
else is in here?
yeah, Jewel. It's just Jewel.
Jules in here?
Jewel's cool.
Oh yeah, it's just me.
Jewel's cool. We don't gotta worry. I I just say it.
What's up, Jewel?
Hey.
Sorry, Ubi.
No, it's just um you can, so like as I'm talking about it, like so you say like it's hard to words only point around it. They can never be it, right? So like it's not even a vantage point or perspective that I've adopted. It's it's what I am, and I guess in a weird way I would try and if we're talking, if the conversation arises and in this situation it has, I would go to tell you it is what you are too. Like so like it's not a it's not me trying to convince you of anything. I'm just I'm trying to state what is, or what the, and see if,
Life,
and
love, God that's in you and is you and is.
yeah, and tell you that um see, like even like Jesus said that like all of you, you're in my heart and I'm in yours, like
Yep.
you, so saying like I know, in a way I know you better than you, but not in a bad way, not in like a derogatory way or anything, like saying because I truly know who I am. This isn't a person speaking about who I know I am. So I'm not saying I know my memories and I know my experiences and I know my emotions and I know my thoughts. So I know you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm like saying I know the nature of my existence. So by that, the nature of existence for all beings is the same, the foundation,
Which is
which is which is which
right.
is that, which is this, which words can never get to that. That's the thing. You can't get there through words.
What about a good um
Right now, if you're sitting there and you're perceiving like
what's sex
the
to you?
things around you and me talking and all these, right? But if you're perceiving them, can you perceive without any ideas about who you are, your past experiences? If you could dump all those off right now, everything, all mental noise, if you could just not pay attention to it, it might still happen, like, but realize like it's all just movement,
Well,
and you don't hook on into any movement at any point in time.
or you can do what happens when, like, what if you try and look at it the very opposite, where if it's if it's you're taking one and you're making it none? What if you make one and think about how you can make, like, to me, what do you think about, like, I'm not talking about fucking or anything like that, like, for real deal love making, where shit, like,
You're saying real love making.
people become one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That is that same type of thing you're talking about feels inherently present in that
So what's
as well.
happening when people become one? What's really happening? It's just you disappear, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what another fun way of looking at that.
Yeah, I got you.
You
So,
erode into, it's not her and me, it's us or everything.
mhm. So the question is, if you can experience that in that situation, can you experience being being nothing all the time? And so,
Me? Probably not.
but you,
Till I
the
die.
thing is you are it.
Right.
You're already it. The
Now
only
that
thing
sounds like
that keeps you from experiencing it is your ideas that you're not that about
that's
it.
that sounded like
We're not it, though. We have it
heavily
in us.
No,
heavily Alan Watts.
you're it.
Y.
To say that
This is some Buddhist stuff.
to say
Oh,
that it is in us would imply that you no. It's more apt to say that, well, it's from whatever perspective you're looking at it from, but you could also say that you're an it. So saying like all the ideas, any idea or construction of yourself being an individual or a being or a thing, an object, is inside of the thing that is. Because you can't conceive of an
no.
object without the vacuum existing.
We have the one in us, but the one is different than the one
Okay,
itself.
okay. Well,
Sorry.
let's just do this. Our person talking, hi. I don't know who you are. Welcome to. Are you new?
No, I'm not host Mark.
Oh, I love smart. Yeah, dude. Have you ever read? Just
Have I read what?
have you ever read like okay, the New Testament? All this. This is something I can find common ground on. Ubi likes all the red shit in the Bible. It's his like Jesus talks about the same type of thing Ubi's talking about, which is
Oh, right.
makes it confusing, right?
Well, I mean, Jesus talks about that. I mean, Plato talks about it. Plotinus talks about it. Aristotle, Buddha, like all those guys talk about it. I mean, he's more in line with what Buddha's talking about. But
Well, it's not. It's interesting also that you can name all these other people that say the very same thing. I like how
they're similar. They're not the same.
how
They're
Alan Watts
definitely
talks about it,
similar.
but
I think. I mean, I obviously think Jesus is the truth, but I think Plotinus is onto it. I think he's very much onto it.
So, do you think? I'm just curious. This question: do you think that Jesus is more true than Buddha or Krishna, for example?
Well, like there is no more truth. Like he is truth. You know?
So what is Krishna and what is Buddha? Are they truth?
There's truth in what they say and what they like talked about. Sure. Like I think every worldview has some amount of truth in it. And maybe they're getting at something which isn't explicitly talked about in the Bible. I mean, certainly, like what the Bible talks about, it says if you have these other like worldviews and things, like go explore them. Like that's good. There's truth in it. It says that like all truth is God's truth. It's like I agree with that, and I think Buddha's onto something. I don't think he hit it though.
I like how you said that. Not Oak Park. I didn't like. I was like, I identify as a Christian.